Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Elizabeth A. Corshu. I am the founder and CEO of Nurse Exec Innovations, as well as the host of the podcast, the newly minted podcast, that was the old podcast. The new podcast is called Mic'd Up and Unapologetic. Yes, 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 you heard that right. Mic'd Up and Unapologetic, where we speak truth to power. This is a platform where power, purpose, and presence meets the mic. Today, if you didn't know that already, today is March 8th, which is known as International Women's Day. This is a day that we have the opportunity to honor women and the barriers they broke, the cultures they shifted, they've created spaces and opportunities for the next generation. Well, today I am so honored and so distinguished to have this wonderful guest here all the way hail down in Washington D.C. We'll get into that later, but I want to introduce first, we're going to talk about hip hop. Yes. For those of us that are it doesn't matter whatever generation, whether you're Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, even those that are silent generation, you can always enjoy the opportunity with hip hop. Hip hop has always been more than music. It is storytelling. It is resilience, entrepreneurship. It's a powerful reflection of communities that gave it life. And behind many of the iconic moments in this culture are brilliant women, such as Jasmine Young, who have helped shape the strategy, the vision, and the movement. Today, I am honored to sit down with a woman who has helped market hip hop legends and is now preparing the next generation of industry leaders. Today, we have Professor, AKA Hip Hop Professor, Jasmine Young, also known as the Billboard Global Power Player of 2025. I am going to pass the virtual mic over to my soror, Jasmine Young, and let her introduce herself or anything else that I have missed, but I'm passing the virtual mic over to you and welcome, welcome.
Happy Sunday, Soror. Happy Sunday. Thank you so well. First of all, congratulations on the relaunch, right?
Yes.
This amazing, and I love the name, Mic'd Up and Unapologetic. That's true. And that's how we not only coming into 2026, but definitely that's how we live in forever, right? Forevermore. So congratulations on all the amazing work that you are doing. Thank you so much for having me here on International Women's Day. What an absolute honor to be here sitting with you and sharing time and space with you on this amazing program. So thank you so much. I'm just grateful, super, super grateful, for my path and my journey. Thankful to be here today. Thank you for having me. And so I'm excited to talk. I forgot to say that, yes, 2025 Global Power Players, but guess what? This weekend came 2026 Global Power Player for the second year in a row.
Oh!
Back. Super grateful. Very rare, right? A very rare, I want to say a very rare opportunity because not a lot of us, right, are on that list. So I'm super, super grateful this weekend. Thank you. Just grateful. Thankful to God, right, for what He's allowing right now in my life, and just for me to just grab it and give back as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Wow, congratulations again.
Same. So grateful. The Billboard comes out like this weekend or tomorrow morning. So awesome. Look for it. I'm super grateful.
Awesome. So let's just jump right in, right? So on this International Women's Day, if you were to think about how would you influence or shape or mentor the next generation of jazzies, right? Because you're Jasmine. That's kind of your nickname.
Yes.
Right? jazzies who dream of working in the hip hop or music industry, lead
Mm-hmm.
or exec, what would be a message that you would bring to that next generation?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. What an amazing question. And I think it's also what I would tell younger Jazz too, as well. Be unapologetic for sure. But also don't take no. Don't take no for an answer. That's probably one of the earliest lessons that I've learned. If you want something bad enough, if you have to go over the mountain, through the mountain, around the mountain, you're just going to have to do that. If that's what God has for your journey. And, be relentless and don't give up. Just continue.
Yes, yes. So then, in regards to what was your defining moment? I know I've seen different pictures of different celebrities, and I've always wondered, you know, what was the defining moment in hip hop, or was it something? I think I even had asked you a question. I was like, "Oh, that did you grow up in Southside Jamaica or Queens or whatever?" And you're like, "Yeah." So I'm just curious to know, like, what influence? Like, I think about those days. Like, I was all up through Hollis, Queens, and Rosedale, where LL is from, and blah blah blah. So, like, what exactly or who inspired you to pursue hip hop?
Oh my goodness. I just think that some days I think that it was just, in me, right? And I always tell the story that always loved music, always had an affinity for music. I remember as far back as the fifth grade, there was a career fair at my school. So I was, fifth grade, 10 years old, and everyone was gravitating, obviously, they had a doctor, they had a lawyer there. And I just was loving the man that was in the band. I remember this like it was yesterday. The name of the song that they sang was Music. Music blows my mind. It blows it all the time. Music. And
Yeah.
it just stuck with me. And I think that after that, I always loved, the theatrics of it, the energy, the culture that hip hop brings, right? And since then, a million people have sampled their record. But I remember that Run DMC probably, they have been, I'm from Queens, yes, South Jamaica, Queens. Growing up in the late 70s, the 80s, it was just like, when you're out in the parks, you're out, all summer long, what was the influence? It was hip hop, right? Those street jams and all of that. And I remember being super young, just wanting to go, wanting to be. And I used to go to this place called the Black Spectrum Theater. It's a super famous place, that trained young actors, and it was just a place for us to be and go when I was growing up. And I remember around that time they had like a audience call for Crush Groove.
Okay.
And my mother wouldn't allow me to go. And so you talking about somebody like crying, like hysterical, like fits. I tried to run away. My older cousin, her name is Gwen. She went and she ended up in, the crowd scene. And when we saw it, I was literally crying, like I was supposed to be there. Love that Chad Elliott, love Run DMC, love the story that they told. And, as I get older and looking at it from this, grown perspective, or this, hip hop perspective, business perspective, it's like, wow, they did that back then. How they introduced the culture to the mainstream or the big screen, and watch the Fat Boys and, the script. And I just wish that, I was there back then, but I watched, hip hop and, it engulfed me. And I literally, became a part of the culture. And I always say that when you become part of the culture, it's not that you like it, you learn it and you have such respect for it.
I like how you said that. It's not that you learn the culture.
Yeah.
And that's in every industry. You learn
Yes.
the culture. Yes.
You gotta be a steady student. Like, you have to be a steady student. You have to give respect and regard, to the people that came before us, and it's now, right? It's International Women's Month, and you're just paying homage and tribute to all of the, to the women, right? The executives, the Black women executives that came before me. Thank you for allowing us to stand on your shoulders. And then also, the female MCs, right? That it never was in a fair room with them, right? And
Mhm.
so just giving respect and regard to them. And now I look back, I'm like, wow, look how far hip hop has come.
Yeah,
But more so, not even hip hop, more so the culture, right? Just
yeah.
looking how far, this culture has come. And before, we couldn't even. I always say that this is a true story. Like back then, you couldn't even get hip hop in mainstream, right? Or
Mhm.
black music, dominating. And now, that you can't turn on the TV or open an app, right? If hip hop is not involved, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And even as you were talking, and shout out to one of my favorite all-time groups, Salt and Pepper. They were for me, they were the epitome of being able to articulate and exude power in such a time where women were not seen or heard at that time. So moving on into the next question, when you look at your career now, did you ever envision that you would be a Billboard? It would this whole hip hop opportunities will bring you to Billboard, a global power player, marketing legends. I didn't call any other names, but you feel free if you want to
Mhm.
um, travel to Ghana, West Africa. Because you had the West African Festival, music festival. Um,
Yes.
so did where did you ever imagine that? Like,
So you know what? When I grad, so the funny that you talk about Salt and Pepper. So when I was in high school, I managed a DJ called DJ Johnny Wishbone. Right? He was in my high school, and he was the backup DJ for Salt and Pepper back then. Right? I knew I wanted to be in the music industry. Some things, behind the camera, obviously, or behind in the E suite or C suite, but definitely just working in the music industry. And so I would manage the talent show at my school. I remember going to, after seeing like the green room on TV, right, I would go and I remember this one particular talent show where I went and I got McDonald's, quote unquote McDonald's, to quote unquote sponsor it. So I had like lined up, a big vat of orange drink, for the artist. It wasn't like funny when you look back about it, but I ended up during that time managing this guy, DJ Johnny Wishbone, and he was the backup DJ at the time for Salt and Pepper, and that's how I really started to really learn about the business. But looking at Salt and Pepper, and the journey that they've come, not the only ones, but definitely the Nikki D's, the Roxanne Shantays, the Finesse and Sequence,
yeah,
the Angie Stone, like all of them,
yeah,
I watch them in awe, but I also, pay attention to their journey. So, funny that you said Salt and Pepper, because I've watched them, be bold, beautiful, and dynamic, for what, close to 40 years now, 30 something years. I'm just impressed. I saw a picture of them the other day. I think it was at maybe the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
yeah,
They looked the bomb. When I
yeah,
tell you, they look so beautiful. So
yeah.
just for them to represent, these black women, in terms of hip hop journey, they're like the case study.
Yes, yeah, they are. They truly are. So I want you to just think. I know it's been over the course of years. You said you went all the way back to fifth grade. So I want you
Yes.
to think about, at what given moment, like, were you like sitting on a train? Were you on a plane? Like, at what given moment did you realize that this this is bigger than I imagined? Like, how did you know like this was big?
I just think that, the journey is like, a crescendo. And I always say, truthfully, that the music industry, it doesn't love anybody, right? And there's, peaks and valleys to it. And
Mm,
it's, how you choose to, rise up to the ashes, or just, move forward and, continue to reinvent yourself. So I don't know whether there was a a defining moment that like, oh my God, this is bigger. I guess it's all been God. Just he never ceases to amaze me. So to
Mm,
answer your question, I don't think that no, I did not. I'm looking at a plaque right here. When DMX, one of the first times he made Billboard, and
okay.
I keep it close because it means the world, but that was as an executive, right? And that's way back 1998, right? So
Mm,
now 30 something years later, to be relevant in an industry that raised you is just a grateful experience. So I don't know whether there's like a defining moment, like, oh my God, but I think that God, he just makes things like insane, larger than life when you didn't even expect it. I'll be like, thank you, Jesus. Because
yes.
there's no you couldn't write this stuff. You couldn't
Yes.
write, better than he can. And I always say that, I never, when you I guess, it can go back to what we call this obedience, right?
Mm,
And with obedience, you just gotta listen. Like whatever he has for you, just do what he say, right? Whether you're unsure, right, of the path, you just gotta be obedient. And that's what I was, literally thinking.
okay. So I am going to, that gave me a segue. You had mentioned DMX. So I'm going to segue to just share my screen just very briefly because I did pull up some of your wonderful accolades that you've achieved over the course of the years.
Uh-huh.
Do I have it up here? Hold on. Okay, just give me 1 second. All right, give me 1 second.
Take your time.
Okay. All right. So we're going to open up with this one.
Oh,
Tell me about this right here. Beats, business, and black excellence. You look like queen of Howard on this
ah,
right here. I'm just like,
God,
tell,
thank
tell us
you.
a little bit about this
Beats,
photo
business,
here.
and black
Yeah.
excellence. Yes. So to give a quick story, everyone knows that. Well, not everyone, but people know, right? That I was after we all left Def Jam at a time, right? I was, working the hip hop professor. I was working, at Monroe University in the Bronx, and great, like I was the administrator, so reporting straight to the dean, was the face of the business school, which we huge, right?
Mhm.
Grateful for that. And then God, sent me an opportunity to come back, home to Howard University. And at first I said no, just because I felt like, I was good, working in Northern New Jersey, living in Northern New Jersey, working in the Bronx. And then, he said he'd take this job. And so coming back to Howard, I think that it was, definitely a part of my calling, definitely a part of, what he had for me, right? And
Mhm.
so what happened was, a gentleman that was, went to Howard with me, is now the only black head of business and legal affairs for any record label in the world, right?
Really?
Happened was he had this idea, this concept of the Warner Music Blavatnik Center for Music Business, right? And so I took the job, moved down to Maryland, working in DC, packed up my kids, and I believe it was the best thing for us. And so that I work, I'm the director here of the Warner Music Blavatnik Center for Music Business, right? And then also, that was just a seminar that I did. The what is it? Business Beats and Black Excellence. Just
Yes.
just sharing how there are amazing stories that sometimes people don't hear, right? And sometimes they see only like the glamour and the glitz of the music industry. But what happens is it's really about what you want to do in this industry and pushing yourself forward. And so that particular I guess that particular presentation was a 1-day summit that I did for some elementary, junior high, and high school students, just talking about, the business of it all, sharing my journey, what they can do to be successful, how they can use their creativity, to promote, generational wealth. So it was a great session and a great celebration. So
Okay.
that's what that particular Beats Business and Black Excellence was.
Okay. Now this is probably my favorite one. I'm about to show you.
Oh, look at her. Look at her. Hopefully, do I look the same? I look
Yes.
One of my favorites too. One of my favorites. My kids. So everyone knows that I have 2 children, or if you don't know, I have 2 beautiful, beautiful boys that I am raising. Jackson, who is a freshman in high school this year. And yes, and he's cute. And Francisco, he's the one who allows me to photograph him the most. So that's probably the one that, everyone sees the most, but he is a junior at the Howard University.
Okay.
So he is studying sports management. So this week he's actually, and I'm so super proud of them both. This week, Howard University has something called alternative spring break. And so it's a big, big deal. You have to apply, you have to, go through the process, and 1,200 kids get shipped out across the country. So he is in Flint, Michigan, this week, serving the community as part of, his personal community service venture as part of Howard University's alternative spring break, right? And so I work and I hustle for them. And that's the bottom line. I just want them to make me happy. That's them, right? real time.
Yes.
And they just as sweet boys as they want to be. Jackson is a handful. Cisco is super Jackson. Oh my God. But what happened was, and I'll tell the brief story about that's a true testament of all my life, right?
Yes.
Definitely, one to the left and one to the right. And so with the Billboard, right, what happened was and this is what, again, Soro, it's about being, I want to say, obedient, right? So a friend of mine one day asked me to meet another friend, right, who was my colleague at Howard, but I had never met her. So I said, no problem, when I got to Howard, right? And so what happened was she asked me to host these artists, and I said, no problem. I was hectic that week because I was, hosting a bunch of artists that week. It was just like everybody wanted to come to Howard.
Okay.
And so I'm, and you're grateful for that. So we ended up hosting, this artist from Ghana, right? And I'm just such a, huggable person. Like, I'll hug you out if the energy's right.
Yes.
And so met these people. It turns out that they were right, the ministry and the CEO of the CEO of travel and tourism for the government of Ghana. Wow. So, loved them, met them. What happened was the next year they invited me to keynote. They have a festival called Panafest, right?
Okay.
And at first I wasn't going to go because the people I was going to go with couldn't go at the time. I was just like, oh my God. So basically they're like, I said, I'm not going. Yep. That's us at the embassy. Okay. Some real kings, right? Some real chief. And so that's at the embassy of Ghana in the United States. And those are the folks, right? Real goals, real regal, real heads of state, right? Okay. And so what happened was I did this. I spoke, at the event, and they asked me to kind of work on this, they said that they needed education, in the music industry. And so we built, the West Africa Music and Arts Festival. And from there, right, I'm like, well, what can go with the West Africa Music and Arts Festival? A label. And so Vertex was built, right? At first I was going to have a West African name, but I thought that it should be, a little bit more centered, like a little bit more, so we can go, to other places in the world, not
Yes,
just West Africa, but not
yes,
West Africa is definitely the starting point. So this label, and thank you Billboard, thank you Black Enterprise, thank you Lambo Extra, thank you
yes,
Hip Hop.
yes.
I want to say Variety. Thank you so much to all of the amazing media outlets that hyped us up and talked about us in the music industry at this current time. We're so super grateful. Yes, so I announced that I'm launching this amazing new global venture, and it is just to highlight, and celebrate and monetize artists from around the world, starting with West Africa and beyond. So thank you so much for highlighting that, Soror. Big time for me right now. Emotional time.
Did I ever tell you that? My parents, my mother's from Haiti. My
Mhm.
father's from West Africa. I have yet to get to West Africa. My twin sons have gone to Ghana in 2019.
Oh my God.
Yes, but I haven't physically gone to the motherland yet.
I
But
After all these years, I just went and it changed my life. So let's go together.
yes,
I'm
God's
supposed to be
willing.
going in 2 weeks. If I don't go in 2 weeks, then it'll be soon. But I'll definitely keep everyone updated. And
This
so it
this is
changed
my
my life.
favorite. This is my favorite.
Oh my God. They got me when I tell you, Sora, they got me together. They got me together. And so could you imagine? And so this is a beautiful, beautiful picture. That's definitely one of my favorite as well. The
Yeah.
way that they took that picture, the way they framed it, in front of Independence Square, Freedom Square. That
Mhm.
and I didn't know, like, we can go into another long story another day. But
Yes.
what happened was, I do believe that you know God sent me to Ghana, right? Not only to teach and lead, but I got so much out of it. Like,
Mm,
I learned so much. And I always say that all the things that, they don't teach us these things. Like, they taught us, and maybe I was just too, immature and ignorant to realize this, right? So we always were taught that, three enslaved ships came, right, from Ghana, West Africa, the Nina Pinta, the Santa Maria, right? And so I guess in my mind, all these years, or you never, you never like unblock it. You never give opportunity to truth unless you are exposed to it. And so what happened was, no, it was hundreds of ships, thousands of ships over years, right? Hundreds of years. And so, just to see, it was a, obviously an international trade, as opposed to, we just stole a couple of hundred, human beings and brought them to the United States and they procreated from here. No, it was, just to go to Africa and go to Ghana and learn even more of our history, right? And just to, look at the enslaved castles, the real live castles. I didn't know that, the Portuguese owned one of the castles, the
mhm.
English, owned the other, and they would fight, right? The Portuguese were really only interested a lot in the women, and just the insane, still standing. It was still standing, not even like falling structures, no, steady, strong structures, right? And so just to learn the process and the, what our people have gone through, it has, enlightened me and empowered me that much more. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, no. So where you had that experience on my end, sitting in the classroom here in America, but hearing the stories for both my mother and father, because Haiti is the first Black republic to make, not only Haiti free, but helped in United States, even though United States doesn't want to give too much credit to Haiti. And then also with my father telling us that there's kings and queens, but sitting in the classroom and them talking about slavery just kind of just enraged me. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad you had that experience. You're able to influence many, many others through your teaching. But let's move into from the spiritual sense.
Mm-hmm.
You've worked with a lot of celebrities, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And with powerful personalities, and pressure environments and deadlines, how do you keep, I mean, I did hear you mention God many other times, but what systems do you put in place to keep yourself spiritually grounded?
That's a great question. I grew up literally grew up in the church, right?
Okay.
So from South Jamaica, Queens, we grew up in Calvary Baptist churches, which is one of the bigger, churches in South Jamaica, Queens, right? And so my mother, I always joke to say that when the church doors opened, she had to be there. Whether we had to walk to church, whether we had to a ride, a cab, whatever, snow, sleet, rain. And I felt like, that was embedded in me, from the beginning. So just being, in the music industry, I feel like, you got to be obviously an individual and you have to stand on ethics because, yeah, things will, things will come your way, right? Whether or not you want them to, impede in your life or have presence there. And you just got to have a great relationship with God. And, when I realized that, bringing him everywhere was the key factor in me keeping close to him, and that's basically it, like being very vocal. I'm God's girl, I'm God's child, right? And so just continuing that prayer and just having a personal relationship with him. And I feel like very rarely say this, right? But it took a lot of religious maturity to really not depend on church and state, not depend on a man to tie my relationship with God. I had to, as an adult, to build my own relationship, strong relationship, because if it wasn't for him, then there would be no me, there would be no journey, there would be no understanding, right?
That part.
No, it's the truth. And so I learned, you can't depend, because even though you have ministers, they're human, right? And I'm like, people joke about that with me. I'm like, how people stop you in the street and be like, can I pray for you? And I'd be like, no, I'm good. Me and God, I got a direct line to Jesus.
You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with that.
Spirits will transfer. The people are demonic. I don't care who you are and what you say, that type of firm belief, and then understanding, that, in life, yeah, there are peaks and valleys, right? You're not going to win every fight. You're not going to, win every situation. But the moral of the story is, to continue to do your best. And, on the flip side of that, what pushes me, I always just want to be the best and positive role model for my kids. And, they are the ones that, every time I fall, I pick up and, hey, Sora, Alicia, blessings, welcome. And I just feel that, you just want to do the best for them. So that, and my walk in my faith in God, and, making sure that, I don't embarrass them. Right. And I grow them up to be, to do all that I can. Those are the things that kind of push me to the next level for sure.
Okay. I love it. So
that's the truth.
No, I believe it. And you have to, you really have to, because the peaks and valleys will show you that human, there, Numbers 23:19 says, man is, God is not a man that he should lie. So men will lie all the time and leave you down. Oh, this Sora must be from HU, because she said HU.
Yes.
Yes. So in regards to, the industry can be very loud, it can be fast moving. Is there ever a time you felt that you lost your voice, your value, or your vision? And if you did you have to recenter yourself?
So I don't ever think that, I think that outside, right? When you make decisions that are not aligned with God, you suffer for them.
Preach, girl, preach.
So I feel
say that again.
When you make decisions that are not aligned with God's vision for your life, you suffer for them. And whether they are done, with all great intensive purposes, or with great heart or great faith, or you think you're doing right? What happens is, if you make those decisions that are not aligned with God, then it pulls you in a whole nother direction. When you make decisions based on emotions, sometimes it just pulls you in another direction. So when I look back, right, the true story is that when I look back, some of the decisions that I've made could have, directed a better path, an easier path, right? And I'm not going to say, life happens, right? But I do feel like, did I ever lose my voice? No, I just had to find my identity, find it, right? So I always say that I found my voice at Howard, and my life's journey has allowed me to amplify it. So the answer to that question is every woman, who's I'm not going to say every woman, because I do know women, maybe they have not had my particular style of journey, or in the situations that I've found myself in. But I feel like in my older age now, right, making better decisions, trusting God, trusting his path, for my life. But yeah, I've always felt like that I could have done things differently, could have done things better, right?
Alicia said Proverbs 3, 5, 6 all day, all day. Yep.
I'm not mad at that. I'm gonna rewrite that. I'm writing that down so I could go back, right? But and so thank you both for that. And I just feel like, thank God for maturity. And the more mature you are, the you'll handle things differently, and you make different decisions. Does everything happen to me? Do I feel like it was all my fault? No. Was it all somebody else's fault? At this point in my life, it's just understanding the value of those lessons and moving forward.
So now that you're professor, aka hip hop professor, right? So now that you're at Howard, you get the opportunity to mentor and cultivate the next gen leaders. How are you using your experiences from your Def Jam era to prepare students for the future and for the industry, basically?
I give them real life exist. So yes, and thank you so much for sharing that. And so I take pride in it, teaching them professionalism, teaching them, the right and wrong, and giving them the hard, the hard truth of the real world and the hard truth of the music industry. And I feel like, if I'm serious about teaching them professionalism, and the ones that listen, do excellent. A quick story. It's a long story, but I'll make it short. One of my students got booked on a video shoot, right? And I didn't, unbeknownst to me, right? Got booked on a video shoot this week. And I get a random FaceTime, and I almost didn't answer it, right? I literally almost didn't answer it. And so I answered the FaceTime, and the student is literally standing with the presidents of one of the biggest labels in the world, right? That showed up to their artist video, right? And the presidents were like, "Oh my God, like, this is your student. I'm so impressed by their professionalism."
Oh.
And those things, make me smile, make me happy. I have another student who is the assistant band manager for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Like, there's so many, great, positions. I have students at AEG. I have students at UTA, at CAA. Like, these are all, agencies and music industry hubs. Mm-hmm. And so just to see their success, to see them, glow and grow from this program, right, that was, incubated just 4 years ago, it just makes me smile. So yeah, I literally love what I do. There's nothing around, happiness in seeing the work, right? Seeing the work come to fruition and seeing these students actually, thank you. Wait, can I screenshot that? That is so kind. Hold that up there. Oh, okay. I lost it, right? Is it still there?
It's still there.
Awesome. And so the what we do every day, is definitely,
did you get it?
Yes, I did. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. What we do every day is, definitely being impactful, on the students. And I'm like, God, like, let me tell you something, like, in the past, even though, we've been hustling so long, in this music industry, and you see your artists, win, and you see your artists, push meters and break barriers. But what happens is, when I came back to DC, like, award after award after award. And, I'm grateful for that. I definitely just, literally just, on Friday received the notice about yet another Howard University Innovation Award. And I'm like,
Oh,
wow, God, thank you. You got to just, take a moment and smile and cry and do all of the things, because at the end of the day, if it's only him, but just grateful for all the, the opportunities that we have in this day and time. I'll say that.
so thank you so much for that extensive response. I'm looking forward to going back and re-listening to this. You gave a lot of nuggets in that last question. So I do want to share though. There was one young lady. I don't know what you were teaching, but I remember I actually took that clip because I was so impressed. Don't even know the name or what she was basically saying that she's here to learn. She does not know everything. And I thought it was such a humbling statement, especially a lot of Gen Zers. They don't get a lot of credit. They're always there are some people that don't give too much credit to Gen Z, but I was really impressed, and I actually have that. I don't even know the young lady's name. She said it, but it was. I believe that was one of your conferences or speaking engagements because she was speaking at the top of the class, and I was just impressed. I just wanted to share that with you.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, it's grateful when they when they acknowledge, right? And we're all like, if you're a lifelong learner in any field, in any situation, it's amazing, to watch the students grow and be, acknowledge their journey. So thank you so much. And thank you so much, Soror Walker, for the kind words as well.
Yes. So, what qualities do you believe that young leaders need to exude
Mhm.
entering into the music industry and to cultivate, especially in today's landscape? Okay.
Huh. I think, I keep saying this, the diligence and the hard work. Nothing's gonna ever be given to you, no matter, who you are, where you are, right? Yep, I
All
feel
right.
like
Yep.
teachable, coachable, and trainable. Yep, having thick skin.
Yeah.
And for me, one of the biggest things is, hard work and tenacity, like, getting your goals and really sticking to your goals, right? And so I always give them examples of, I always tell them, you're learning from my mistakes, right? So
Mm,
just, take these seeds and move forward, but just, learning and growing, and always be a constant, student to your craft.
okay. Okay. So, what challenges did you have to navigate in the your hip hop industry, your journey? Like, how did you take those experiences and allow them to shape you as the leader that you are today?
So I feel like, truthfully and unapologetic, right? Being, darker skin, being, a overweight girl, being from, South Jamaica, Queens, but then also having a degree. That'll shock a, I almost cursed on your website, but that'll shock a nigga too, right?
Well, we are on YouTube.
Okay.
It is streaming on LinkedIn and Instagram
Blessings.
right now.
Blessings and professionality, right? Professionalism. But, just, anything that you are that is not, I guess, middle of the road, right? Always becomes I want to say a hill to climb. So, it doesn't matter what it is. Someone will, or someone somewhere will always find something. And you just have to, block the haters and block, fight through the obstacles and continue to move forward. And that's definitely been my journey for sure.
So let's go back to hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when it originally started, there's a lot of debate now with some that will say that, oh, it's mumble rap, it's this, it's that. I'll speak from my own self. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we came from a point in time where those in the beginning of hip hop was like lyrical poets, sharing the journeys of what they were going through in their environment, the political stance, and things like that. So, do you think the culture will ever return to those roots where the craft, or is the craft evolving into a new sound? Like some will say mumble rap.
Got you. And that's a great question. I just feel like, evolution and moving, the culture forward is a part of, is a part, the main part of it, right? So do I feel that, mumble rap or any other type of rap besides the original is not real rap? If I'm making sense, it is, right? It is. It's definitely, you can't say that someone's creativity or what God has blessed them with or their talent is not what we deem to be, original, right? It's an evolution of the culture. So I applaud the kids. I'd rather them rapping than robbing, right? And I feel like at the end of
Say
the
it
day,
again slowly.
I would rather them rapping than robbing folk,
Okay,
right?
true,
And
true.
so I feel like, respecting their culture and enveloping, every generation of hip hop, right? And one of the things that I plan on doing, it's on my agenda. I'm calling this series the remix or remastered 2.0. And what we're going to do is get like the younger kids in the studio with the legends and
Mm.
remake their classics, and then literally remake them, reboot them, redistribute them. And then that way you can put the two, or the some of the generations, it's not just two generations but the generations together, so
Yeah.
that the clash of the culture, right? So that people could really learn about each other. So I do, mumble rap is definitely something that, I mean, it's just all a part of their creativity in a way. And just for them, we have to be, us as leaders in this industry have to be able to connect the dots so that it is, I want to say, one big happy part of the culture, one big happy culture.
I like that. I like that. I like the that whole connecting the bridge between the generations. I think that's a wonderful, innovative mindset. So
Yeah.
now, going back to in today's climate, because there's a lot going on. Do you think that do you do you do you envision, because it sounds like you're a visionary leader within the music industry, do you envision that the current artists or the evolving artists will ever address some of these social disparities or things that are going on? Do you envision that?
So yes and no, right? To whom much is given, much is required. We all know that and understand that. But some people, so people expect artists to just be, these, I want to say, these social justice warriors, and they feel like if you have a mic or if you have a platform, then you have to, be the social justice warrior and speak against this or speak against that. That some people, right, aren't built for that. Some people don't, have the voice for that, and some people that might be not be their gift, right? But that doesn't mean we beat them down or berate them, right? For those of us who are the mouthpieces of culture, and want to speak up and support this social justice movement and what's going on in the world, right? I feel like we as leaders need to empower them, support them, enlighten them, and just give them all the tools that they need.
Mm, that's powerful.
It's the
Big,
truth.
yeah,
Yeah. You
yeah,
watch, not everyone who raps is going to be a social justice warrior. Some people just need to do their raps, right? But those who, have that mouthpiece, have that plan, they need to be aligned with, whatever they need in order to be that mouthpiece, right? There's people that, have all of these followers, that people do what they say, us as leaders, or, leaders should give them give them support, right? To
yeah.
help them to be that much more impactful.
More impactful. Thank you for that clarification. And for those that didn't see the line of demarcation, that's so important. Support, support, support. So, what role, we're coming to a close, but what role do you think hip hop should play to continue as a voice for the people, or as a reflection of our times? I think you kind of answered that, right?
Yeah, hip hop, is not just music, obviously. Hip hop is this amazing, culture that moves people, that impacts nations, that people
Mm,
emulate, that
mm,
want to be like, so we just need to continue to be ourselves and to continue to, create these amazing, moments for the culture, these movements for the culture, and to make sure that we are always, being excellent. And the bottom line is to really, 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 some people don't understand that, hip hop, right, is a business. The music industry is a business. It's not a fun thing. I always say that I've raised two kids, on the back of hip hop. Like, it's a business. I'm able to feed my kids, and I'm grateful for it.
mm.
To enlighten people to understand that, yes, it's entertainment, but it's a business. And, for the opportunity to continue to monetize this business globally, and for
Yeah.
people to actually be able to, to monetize their gift. And that's the
Mm.
work that God has called me to do in 2026, right?
I
So,
love
some people like, oh, I am a musician, I'm a singer, but right? You want to just X out the but and, really, empower them and allow them to monetize their craft, right? And make money in order to be able to feed their kids or create family and growth that way.
So basically, bringing power and purpose and presence to the mic and to learn how to monetize. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, with in closing, but before we close, I have some rapid. I like to close the segment with a rapid fire session where I ask you a question and you just answer it in one word. Are you ready to do that? And
Yes.
these aren't questions like
Oh, let's go.
okay, hip hop in one word.
Love.
Okay. One hip hop artist whose storytelling changed the culture.
Slick Rick.
Okay. Oh yeah. Golden era hip hop or today's sound? Which era speaks to you most?
Golden era.
One lesson the music industry can learn from hip hop culture.
Professionalism.
Hmm, okay. The future of hip hop will be led by blank.
The masses.
Hmm. Hip hop is more than music. It's
The culture that moves the world.
okay.
That's three, right? The culture.
Okay. You got it. All right. So my final question to you now is, if as a woman watching or a male watching, but today we're celebrating International Women's Day, but both men and women are watching today's dreams of leaving, what would you, if you, a young woman or a male was watching today and they have dreams of making it in the music industry, what is one piece of wisdom
Mm-hmm.
that you would want them to carry with him or her on their journey? What's the wisdom nugget that you would leave them?
Again, I just say, being able to learn the craft, paying attention, being an avid learner, having thick skin and tenacity. Sometimes they say, oh, when one door closes, go to the next. Yes, all of that, but then also figuring out how to build your own door, build your own house, bring your own seat to the table, building the table, and understanding and being an innovator nowadays, right? And so, there's I've been doing this for a very long time, and yes, there are things that I'm learning, to this day, being like, and saying, right, you can't do this on your own. Like, hey, I need help. Like when I'm watching this label now, I am calling every favor, every person that I've ever worked with, like, that, hey guys, I need help. Hey guys, look at what I'm doing. I need your expertise. I need this. Like, I don't know this. Teach me this, because at the end of the day, my mother always said, a closed mouth don't get fed. So just, find it. And then also a plan, right? And I say a lot of these things that God has given me have, came to me, right? But imagine if I had like an absolute plan, right? It would just have been, it would be even more, I'd be super rich, right? I'd be rich, 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 rich if I had an actual plan. Like, write your plan and stick to it. 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. What do you want? Where do you see yourself? And know in your heart that it's attainable.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm going to clap us.
And thank you for
Yeah.
for having me. Congratulations on every single endeavor. May God continue to bless your endeavors. May He continue to make every way plain for you and elevate you on every single level. I appreciate you for having me, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you for having me on this amazing, blessed, and anointed platform on this amazing day and this hour. So thank you.
I receive all of that, but just before you go, if you can just bless us with one information. If there's anybody who's watching this live or catches the replay or sees this months from now, what's the best social media to contact you through?
Sure. It's I am Jazz Young. That's I am JAZZYOUNG. And then also on Instagram, The Vertex. So at the THE Vertex, VRTEXX. And if you want to email me, hello at the Vertex at vertex.com. So hello at vertex.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. You have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful 2026. We're only in month number 3. I'm so proud of you. Congratulations again with that 2026 Billboard Award and all your endeavors. May you be richly blessed, abundantly blessed. Your children will be blessed. Everybody will be blessed. So take care. Have a great evening.
Blessings, Queen.
Bye-bye. Thank you.